everyone, especially ladies. Guess what? Myself, Kirk, and...
Is this the intro?
If you've just tuned in, we're talking to Sleepless in Seattle.
You called a radio station? Christmas Eve. He phones in one of those radio call-in shows. He tells them
that his dad needs a new wife.
And the shrinkette practically forces the guy onto the phone and says,
"Tell me, what was so special about your wife?"
Well, Dr. Marshall Fieldstone, I think. It was like magic.
We're deciding to review things that women like and maybe to give us a better understanding of women.
We're going to review some things, and maybe we're going to review some things that we think that the opposite sex enjoys more than we would on a daily basis. Maybe movies, right?
Sure isn't sex with me. Oh, I went there too fast. Yeah, so for this episode, our first episode, our maiden voyage, we chose Sleepless in Seattle, the 1990s romantic comedy.
Sleepless in Seattle, I believe, came out in 1993.
So same year as Jurassic Park.
Probably should have Googled that.
Do you know that they both have CGI in them?
Sleepless in Seattle has CGI?
There is CGI at the very end, I noticed, because they do a 360 around the Empire State Building, which is pivotal near the end of the movie. We won't get to that now. But I looked at it.
How do you know it's CGI?
Because I looked at it, and this would have been impressive at the time. People would have believed it was a real shot. But you look at it through the eyes of someone who's seen a lot of CGI over the last 20 years, and I'm like, that's some pretty CGI shit, right?
And I'm going to guarantee that Kirk has not done any research on this, and it could be a real shot. Who was in this movie?
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
So Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan were in this movie. So this would have been the second time that Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks were in a movie together. At that point.
First was Joe versus the volcano.
Joe versus the volcano, and then afterwards they did You've Got Mail.
I'd say my personal romantic comedy favorite, because I'm an internet kid, and that's the tape my mom had, and she liked it, so I think I watched it a few times when I was a kid. So if I had to pick one from that era that I liked, that was the one.
Which one?
You've Got Mail.
I was gonna say, did he say which one? It came out June 25th, 1993, so it was a summer movie.
Summer blockbuster.
You know what? It actually was nominated for a couple Academy Awards, and it did very well, and it has a pretty good rating.
I think it won for Best Cameo by Rob
It's
Reiner.
got like a 74% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's good. Is that audience or critics?
Probably critics. What's going on in 1993 in June? Any ideas? Is the park out yet?
Yeah, I think so. It's coming out. I remember
It's coming out.
I remember being acting like a dinosaur a lot at that time. But also,
you were younger.
I sang all these first certain phrases like "Cowabunga" and "Don't Eat My Shorts, Man," and what's the other stuff I would do? I listened a lot to the Free Willy soundtrack, because that's the tape I had. I don't remember having any of the tape.
All right. I think you're generalizing. You can't guarantee you did that in June 1993.
Oh yeah, I don't have that good of a memory.
A romantic comedy, dramedy.
Is it? Yeah, it's not that funny. I mean, I like the kid the most in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
The kid is funny.
So we'll explain. So Tom Hanks is a dad
and an architect.
He has a job, and he has a son, an 8-year-old son. And so basically the movie it starts off that his wife is sick, and she dies. So like most romantic movies, it's always excellent when one of the main characters' spouses get killed to begin the movie, because that's how you want to do it. And the note I made, for me anyways, was, what was it? Because I was like, beginning depressing, not really needed.
It seemed to be to me like maybe this is like a certain thing from the 90s. Like Full House was like that.
You never saw the mom.
But she died. That's why they all.
No, but it was already happened. Like,
but yeah,
they were already there.
But it was like she wasn't in the movie very long. It was kind of like memories of her, right?
She was in the hospital.
Well, maybe I missed that part. Oh no, I remember that part now. And they're like, she's not gonna make it, right? So it's more serious than Full House. I give it that. But I'm just saying, in general, it's like that idea from that era. There was like, oh, I'm the single dad. I'm like, and from the
No, for sure.
It's kind of
For
like
sure.
it's almost like a trope, you know.
But was it
like,
needed in this movie? Like, I found it took away from the movie for me. Like, I was like, I want to see like a romantic comedy, or I want to see this this story, love story, whatever, unfold in front of me because everybody says it's good. But then I'm hit with this depressing, like, are they trying to make me feel like the character? Is that what they were trying to do? It didn't work for me.
Maybe because you're also a dad.
No, it didn't really.
Does that make a difference?
No,
like you feel like there's a
nothing.
Because I don't think I felt like I took on his grief, you know. But
I was bored.
I think the whole idea is that he's like, it sets up this idea that like he thought his wife was the perfect person. They felt the magic together, and then he lost that, and he seems to think that he can't move on, but everybody around him sees him as like, you're a great guy, you're a great dad, you'd be a great husband to somebody else. And he's not ready, so it's almost like his kid is like the identifier, being like,
well,
he's like, my dad, he could use a new wife.
Okay, so they live in Chicago. The wife dies, and it's still fresh. Like, the guy goes to work like a week later, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decides, you know what? I need to leave this city.
Yeah,
we're gonna go to Seattle.
He was getting mad and just throwing schematics around, I think.
Nobody needs schematics thrown around. It moves you past the death. So that's why I was like, why would they start the movie here? Like, why not just start the movie with them going to Seattle?
Like they're already
and just
there.
explain it.
Or they're just there, and then
just say,
the call-in happens, and the kid's like the backstory explains why he's calling in.
Exactly. Feel about it. How did you feel about the idea of Sleepless in Seattle, right? What is that?
Sleepless in Seattle is because he lives in Seattle, obviously, but then his son calls into a radio show. It's like a Dr. Joan or something. It's like a doctor, like, you know, like Frasier on the radio is like a psychiatrist, right? Mm-hmm. And he calls in, nice kid. He's like, I'm calling in because my dad, you know, needs a wife, and he's sad. And she's like,
but he sounded exactly like that.
The lady kind of like, she's like, you can tell it's like, you know, she's good at her job. She's like, well, why don't you get your dad on the phone? And she's like, he won't like it. And he's like, well, Jonah, why'd you do that? And then his name's Sam. And she's like, oh, instead of saying the name, you might have said Sam, but then she just calls him like a tag. So she's like, and we're back with Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. Like, he you know, he's an insomniac. And then, like, I actually didn't mind the fact, like, the kid called in this midnight talk show, national talk show, you know, on the radio. And then I thought he would hang up, like, I didn't know, I hadn't seen this movie, but he ended up talking to the radio doctor. And I guess it actually helped him. And then, so people hear him, people think that, you know, he's a great guy, and it's too bad, and people think the kid is adorable for doing all these things. How did you feel about Meg Ryan's character?
I guess I first thought she's kind of, because Meg Ryan, she comes off very, like, harmless, you know, very, like, sweet. She's like a nice person, but like what she kind of does in the movie is she's pretty much a stalker.
She is a big time stalker, and she's in my mind, batshit crazy. So, good luck, Tom Hanks. Right?
She knows how to use a central database that's used for criminal background searches to find him.
She does a background search on the guy and finds out everything. And then flies to Seattle, lies to her fiance, who, by the way, is
the president in Independence Day.
Is Bill Pullman. So Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
And as Kirk was saying, so Meg Ryan is engaged to this guy, Bill Pullman, and he seems like a really nice guy.
He's definitely a nice guy, and he's also like very understanding, and he's kind of charming in his own way. He has a lot of afflictions, and I don't know if you're using that as a weakness or why they wouldn't be together.
See, that's another thing that I didn't understand is that he seems like he's like successful.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's like he even goes to one of her family dinners, and like puts up with it and gets through it and like is pretty good. And then like, but then it shows that the guy's got allergies and like he sleeps with like fucking like humidifier, I don't know, all this shit going on, right? He's got allergies and he's just like this guy, right? And she's like not happy. So she wants to get down with the guys from the radio over her fiance.
There's some point in the movie where she's talking to her mother, and she's told them they're engaged, she tries on her mom's wedding dress. And her mom says something inappropriate about sex, and something you never want your mom to talk about. Mm-hmm. But I think the mom meant like, does he make you feel special when you're with them? Or is there a spark? Is there magic in that moment that you were together? And I think that's the first time she realizes that with this relationship, that's not the case. It's just kind of like we got together, but she's going through like the motion. And she's very, if you watch the movie, she's very into, which is meta at the time, I think, she's very into romantic comedy or movies as well.
She's into love stories. She's into these old black and white love stories, you know what I mean? Where probably very inappropriate, where it was probably men that are in their 50s falling in love with 20-something starlets that, in today's day and age, I guess it still happens.
Yeah.
But they're romanticizing it there. Now we just look at it as a gold digger and a sugar daddy.
I think Cary Grant was probably like 30, but he always looked like 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now people eat avocado and they look fresher,
because they rub it on their face.
Oils.
I think that they establish, like Tom Hanks starts dating a girl that laughs like a hyena. So they give these people flaws, that
like they're almost
unnecessary flaws.
Like it's almost like a Seinfeld episode of like why
Jerry
really wouldn't date a girl.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got man hands, or like this, she laughs like a hyena, or like he uses a humidifier in the bedroom.
That's right. Yeah. So that would be like an Elaine problem. She really has a thing for this guy because her dude is just not there for her. But that's not the case. Like, the guy's there. If anything, the guy's pretty decent.
If anything, he might be a better husband than Tom Hanks.
I think
Tom Hanks
probably would.
Tom Hanks is batting 0 for 1 right now. So,
what does that mean?
Oh, he doesn't have a wife anymore. I'm not saying it's his fault, but like that's still a bad track record, right?
Well,
sorry.
So anyways, I figure less baggage, but so she flies out there, and then Tom Hanks sees her, and they weren't supposed to see each other. They don't know each other. They're just passing at the airport, basically, but he does see her, and he has like a moment of like, who is that? So he's attracted to her. Like there's this moment.
There's a spark for him.
There's a spark for him. She doesn't see him. And he wants to talk to her. I don't know would he have talked to her?
Well, I think
that's what I got, is that he was like dragging his son, like, let's go. I'm looking for this girl.
Yeah.
And he couldn't find her, like in a busy airport. She got, they got separated. But I think like that established like they're meant to be together.
They're like, because they have this. But they both have this love at first sight moment, kind of in the movie, right?
That's right.
Because she has it later, and that's that time they both see each other, but it's from across the road. She's gone all the way to Seattle to meet up with him finally.
After lying to everybody about what she's doing, she said she was going to like.
And she wrote a letter. She wrote a letter that he did read, right?
Yeah, but the letter was given to him at a bad moment, right?
Yeah, because
he was already like kind of like flustered or frustrated or whatever was going on, and then his son had this letter from her, and he had already read tons, and he wasn't in the right frame of mind to read another letter.
He was trying to get back in the dating game, local dating game.
He was trying, yeah.
He's like, she's in Minnesota, and like, or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what else to say about this movie. You've got a guy whose wife died, who, the real, like, the MacGuffin is the fact that it's radio call-in show, that's how he gets the name. Girls, women hear it, And then, he gets offers from everybody. And then there's this crazy woman, Meg Ryan, who's engaged to this guy who
It's pretty good.
is trying to get with Tom Hanks.
The kid sets up a plan to meet with Meg Ryan at the Empire State Building for Valentine's Day.
Right. Okay. And
She kind of they're on that Valentine's Day when she's kind of fully described what she had planned to do. She's like, I have this other thing why I've been distant in that time was like because I had this idea of a guy, and then he's almost, once he hears all that, instead of being angry, he's like, you gotta go for it.
Well, I would say that the kid and the friend was probably, their little schemes were probably the most interesting part of the movie.
No,
for me.
That kid was funny to me because he was like a little sociopath. He just didn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's that one point where
he was playing a kid really good.
But he's playing a kid who's way too smart for his own good. Like
he was 8.
I don't remember being that smart. I couldn't book travel tickets for myself at 8.
He didn't. The girl did.
But she's also 8, right?
She could have been older. I don't know.
Shit.
So, anyways.
But there's this scene where he's like, kid, where you going? He's like, I'm going to meet my new mom. And he's smiling like a maniac. And I just think like,
I wish that wasn't in the movie. I know that freaked me out.
Like, and it's like, I know it's trying to be funny the way he did it. It's like he's like ultra confident.
So he flies to New York, doesn't tell anybody because him and his dad had a fight and he's rebelling, and he's gonna go and he's gonna be the guy on the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day to meet Meg Ryan, who he thinks is gonna be his future mom. Tom Hanks then finds out and he flies to New York because he's got to get his son. And so the kid goes to the Empire State Building. Tom Hanks arrives at the Empire State Building, and they talk. And while this is happening, Meg Ryan is across in another building that can see the Empire State Building, and she's having her dinner with her fiance.
Stuff. So like at this point, he's already. It's so weird to me. He's so invested into this relationship, but then he's so cool letting it just all end. Because he doesn't want to be someone's like secondary dude, right?
Well, see, I would like to see a movie about him. Like not a movie, but like and like a sequel. Like post-credit scene. At that point, man, I'm thinking, this is my out. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm out now. I don't have to be tied to this crazy chick because she's acting mad crazy.
Yeah, so maybe he's being cool because he's like, yeah, I know you're kind of like a weirdo.
And here we go. This is the moment, right? This is it. Tom Hanks is at the Empire State Building. He finds his son, and they reconnect, and they, son's sorry, and he's sorry, and, they realize they're the only ones together, and they're going to make it work.
So she's trying to get in, and they're closed, and they're not going to let her go up to the top observation
That's right.
deck.
They say, you can't go up, we're closed. And she talks her way up.
She says a line from the movie that whoever.
The guy's like,
he's
my
like,
wife's favorite movie.
He's like, yeah, and then he gets a soft heart for a moment and takes her up.
And so he lets her go, and so she gets to the top, and it's empty. Nobody's there. So she's looking around, and Tom Hanks and the boy are gone, and
but the backpack is there. That's what's important.
And because Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan had already seen each other in Seattle, they now know who each other. They now know who they are to each other. So
she's Annie.
Was that her name?
Yeah.
Listen, the fact that I got through this movie should be noted as come on, by now you should know me a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like if this wasn't on Amazon Prime and I had a free access to that, I might have dropped out of this idea. But I think I liked the movie though.
Tom Hanks sees Meg Ryan, right? And they just kind of say hello. Do that. I don't think they're going to make a movie like that again. You can't make a movie like that in today's day and age, but 1993 was different. You could get away with a little bit of stalking. You could get away with a little bit of insanity.
Kids were allowed to fly by themselves.
Kids could go on an airplane alone, that's right. And you could just book a flight, apparently, just on the computer.
Yeah, at your home computer.
I think the
Her mom was a travel agent.
agent.
So, but even then, did travel agents have access to booking stuff like that back then?
1993. I don't
Also,
know.
Seattle, they probably had internet there.
Lock.
Think about that. Think about that. That's the only way that's possible. Would be they had internet. 1993. I didn't think people had internet until 95. Maybe.
Like,
do you know what I think is weird?
Airlines.
There's not enough Seattle in this movie. Is there a Space Needle scene? No.
They show it.
But it's like there's no raining in the movie, and they say like, it rains 8 months out of the year. I feel like
You needed rain, more rain.
No, I just want to see.
I think
some
they
more
were
of that
there.
snow.
They showed like where he lived, but
Just like a wharf or something.
But yeah, the city of Seattle had very little to do with this, other than to show you he's way over here.
He moved all over here.
Yeah, he's way over here, and there's no real reason. It could have been.
It's where he's sleepless.
Delaware, I guess, or
Daydreaming in Delaware. I've got Daydreaming in Delaware on the phone. How you doing? My life's pretty good. Okay, call back another time.
What do you mean? I live in Delaware.
Delaware.
No offense to Delaware, but I gotta assume your tourism rate's not that high for
It's
fun.
it's like that Waynesville joke. Hi.
Oh yeah.
Delaware. We've got nothing to say.
Maybe that's probably the only thing that's influenced my judgment of Delaware, so I apologize.
Yeah.
So, all right. So to summarize, Sleepless in Seattle. What did you have anything? So I have a few things that I wrote down, and I'll just go over it quickly, just to rifle through the movie on like the notes, and then I just gave up. The beginning depressing, and I felt it wasn't needed. They did have a good scene right after, and I said I liked the map because it was a very good map, and it showed the mountain ranges, and I thought that
So
it was nice to see.
You're like a cartography kind of guy.
I respected it so much that I made a note about it.
It's a good map.
There was a scene, the dinner scene with Meg Ryan with her family.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has their wine glasses.
There you go.
The exact wine glasses. I just had to make a note.
And there's the scene at his other relatives, and Rob Reiner's there, and he looks a lot like my dad. So.
But the other note that I made about this movie is I'm pretty sure every single person in this movie, including peripheral characters, everyone has mental issues. That's what I took from it. Is everybody seems to have these quirks and these problems that they're actual problems. Like, they were making fun of them in a humorous way, but I think that it's like, an issue.
So if you had to rank this in terms of like Tom Hanks romantic comedies, not particularly with Meg Ryan, where would you rank this?
Well, fuck. Like, how many...
Is this
How many
better?
romantic comedies does he have?
All right, I'll do a ranking here. Is it better?
I don't know. Like,
is
I
it
can't
better?
rank his movies.
I'm gonna give you one to ones here. Is it better or worse than You've Got Mail?
I've never seen You've Got Mail.
Is it better or worse than Road to Perdition?
I've never seen Road to Perdition,
It's
and I'm
not.
pretty sure that's not about
No,
love
it's
story.
it's about like gangsters.
I've seen Castaway.
Is he crazier in Castaway than Meg Ryan in this movie?
Meg Ryan. No, you know what? They're equal. They're very similar.
Yeah.
And he was on a deserted island with a volleyball. I didn't like this movie. You liked it?
I
You
think
said
it was.
you liked it.
I think it was okay. I think I try to put myself in the mindset of the era, because I remember this being like something you heard about as a kid, but I'm like, when this came out, I wouldn't have no reason to have seen it, right? Even though it's not necessarily graphic or violent, or like even sexual.
See, it was written in a different era, and I think it was written for people like older.
I wouldn't even say it's that romantic, because nothing romantic happens, but it's almost like one of those movies.
Yeah, there's nothing romantic.
This movie's like, I think it's almost about fate, in a sense, or like when things are meant to be. And I think a lot of this movie it's very basic, in a sense, but I almost think that like from the era,
It's
You look at
it's a basic movie.
You go look at the idea. I think the concept. It's like a concept movie in the sense that, like, to us now it seems basic, but in the '90s I feel like it'd be different because this isn't the regular path a romantic or comedy or movie that this would take. It would be like.
It was different. I'll
It's
say
like
that.
the fact that they get together at the end and they don't even kiss or anything like that or have an embrace. It's just kind of like, hey.
But I think that was the whole thing. Is that it's like they know. This is more than just like, we don't need to do that kiss right now. Let's just hold hands. And they're staring at each other like, hey, this is actually happening. The kid was okay. The kid, for me, like, was okay.
I'd say in terms of child actors, he's like 2 Jake Lloyds.
Nobody knows who you're talking about.
Jake Lloyd, also known Anakin Skywalker from Phantom Menace. He's 2 of those 2 like together. He's got the good looks for the kid, but the acting skill, the comedic chops, can't do better than that.
Kid was okay. So Kirk, what would you say? Who's out of all the characters? Who's our? What's the word I'm looking for here?
Like main
Who's
character?
our all-star? Who's the character that made the movie, or like
Made it memorable?
like the valuable character? Like which one?
I'd say,
made the movie possible.
Elevator operator number 2.
Because he let her up.
He let her up.
I'm gonna say the kid.
Yeah, he stirs the drink throughout the whole movie. He gets the call started, and he sorts out, finds the right. He finds the letters through all those letters. He found the one that was actually the right one.
Yeah, and then would you recommend this movie?
I don't know if I would. I'd have to find the right person. If someone likes 90s stuff, I think they can get in the mindset of being in the 90s and think of this as like, oh, this was kind of like, and at the time, this was like a phenomenon, right? Of this kind of movie where it was interesting to people then. Now it's really boring because it's about like a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter anymore.
Like I wouldn't grab somebody and be like, oh, let's watch this movie. I'd say, you know what, you want to see this movie because, let's say Tom Hanks, because Tom Hanks is a great actor. And you want to see some of his earlier stuff, where he started to rise out of the masses of actors. Then maybe you go watch this movie because this movie, was right around that time. Or to see Meg Ryan, do what she did. But yeah, it's the kind of movie you put on while you're on your phone, maybe in the background. Like what's going on there. I wouldn't sit down and make it a night.
I would not recommend it. I'd have to be based on the person. I'd be like, do you like this kind of stuff? Do you like romantic comedies? Like,
That's very specific. I'm just.
No, I'd be like, basically my question would be like, have you?
How you're gonna watch it?
I just want to say, like, if you like something like, yeah, You've Got Mail, or like When Harry Met Sally.
What kind of a setup are you gonna have? Are you gonna watch with the lights on or the lights off? Maybe have a blanket. Maybe make some popcorn.
No, I'm just like, I would just want to know what they like. No. It's like how you recommend stuff to people because you're like, oh, if you like such and such, you'll like this. You know how like Netflix works?
Your suggested list.
These are suggestions for you. Why did you put in Happy Gilmore? Everyone's got to watch Happy Gilmore.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a ranking system?
Oh, of this movie versus what?
No, like stars or is 2 thumbs up or I wouldn't do thumbs up.
No, I'd say.
But star system or out of 10 or 5 or.
What about a stamp of approval?
Sure, but
Do you want to do a stamp, like a quarter, half, 3/4, full stamp? Full stamp of approval, half stamp of approval.
We'll go stamp.
1/8 of a stamp.
Yeah.
We can fraction all the way down.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do fraction stamps.
There's no 0 stamp. You have to give it some sort of
You gotta give
fraction.
it something.
Yeah.
You gotta give it something.
A 1/28.
So, if I had to think about the whole movie in general, and if I had any enjoyment at all watching it,
The audio audience wants to know.
I'm gonna say that I gotta go like a quarter stamp. So like, I can't go lower. I don't think.
You can't go higher either.
I can't go higher. I can't go higher. But like,
would a 3/8 be higher than a quarter, but not more than a half?
I feel you're at a half.
Yeah, I'm probably at half.
I think you're probably at a half stamp.
Maybe a 5/8. I don't like fractions that much. So I'm gonna keep it
A little
simple.
higher than.
I'm gonna keep it at a half because 5/8 is more. And yeah, I'll let you know. I'm gonna retract. I'm gonna say I'm a 5/8 man. Go 5/8.
So you like the movie a little more than 50%.
Yeah, I'm like a 60% kind of 65% on this. I think. Like I think I enjoyed it. Like I didn't come away from this movie, and I kind of like got wrapped up in the ending too. You know, like I wanted to like
I said, all right. Let's do this. Let's bring them together. Let's see what happens. Deny that.
So I think I liked how everything came together and ended, but then, because I think other movies like this, it's like the will they, won't they, and they like, and because they almost.
And they already had that, yeah.
No, but they almost meet, but you can't count it as that they almost, because most movies it's like we get together and we break up, we get together, we break up, and then we think we're never gonna get together, and then we're like, then we get together. Like it seems like movies like that work, where it's like, there's like, it's just, just seems like it was kind of like, you knew it was gonna happen, but like, I like the way they approached it. I guess I have a question to ask at the very end of this because we're reviewing things that are like women-like.
But I think that's
in general, like
a primary thing. But I think we can review other things too if we feel like we want to.
Sure, but for this case though, I want to know like if we put our women caps on right now, our lady caps, like why do you think this is such a popular movie with women? Because it is.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, we should ask if you guys want to tell us what you think about like why if you've seen the movie, why you like it, dislike it, things we might have missed thematically or ideas.
Anybody wants to comment, make a comment, let us know, tell us if we're wrong, say if we're right on anything.
Tell us some Beatles trivia if you don't mind.
Nobody that old's gonna watch this.
You know.
So yeah, we're gonna come back with something else. We don't know what yet. We're taking suggestions. We'll probably have recommendations from women that we know, or we might just do it. Christmas time is around the corner. You know what? And there's a couple of movies that we might want to review. Yeah, so we'll be back with something.
Yeah, we'll also be back with more evenings with Kirk and Murray.
That's right. You got anything else to add to this nonsense?
I feel like this movie, weirdly enough, would be a good way to fall asleep to.
You know what? It's
If you're
actually
if you're ironically looking for a good way to fall asleep, watch Sleepless in Seattle.